When we think about getting great at something, we tend to look at the pros, right? We try to copy their most complex, high-level techniques. But what if the secret to real, lasting achievement isn't up there at the top? What if it's all about going back to the beginning? Today, we're going to explore how true greatness is built from the ground up. I didn't know I could do it. Strength coach Daniel John says this is the phrase he hears more than any other. And the it he's talking about? It's that moment of truth, facing a heavy barbell, getting it off the floor, and lifting it clean overhead. It's about that raw, powerful feeling of succeeding at something you weren't sure was even possible. So, lifting heavy barbells and the history of women's basketball. What in the world is the connection, right? It might seem like a total long shot, but trust me, that journey of the barbell, from the floor, through the struggle, to the top, it's the perfect metaphor for this sport's incredible story. Stick with me and you'll see exactly what I mean. Okay, first things first. Let's break down what this ground-up philosophy is all about. It's this powerful idea that real strength doesn't come from fancy, complicated programs. It comes from going back to the most basic challenges and building an absolutely rock-solid foundation long before you even think about the advanced stuff. At its core, from the ground up, just strips away all the noise. It all boils down to one simple primal challenge: moving a heavy thing against the force of gravity. That's it. It's direct, it's honest, and it is a ridiculously effective way to build real-world functional strength. And here's the trap that, let's be honest, so many of us fall into, whether it's in the gym or just in life. We see what the absolute best in the world are doing, and we try to jump straight to their elite-level programs. But we totally forget they built that success on years, even decades, of mastering the basics. Skipping that foundation, it's a recipe for failure. So Daniel John's Rapid Ascent program offers a different path. It basically proves that by zeroing in on just a few core fundamental exercises with a single barbell, you can get the vast majority of the benefits of those super complex training plans. It's all about building that solid base first. All right, so we've got the philosophy. Now let's see it in action. Let's rewind the clock and see how an entire sport was built, quite literally, from the ground up. Picture this. The year is 1892. Basketball for men had only been invented a year earlier. A physical education director at Smith College, a woman named Senda Berenson, decides to adapt this brand new game for her female students, thinking it would be a great way to improve their health. And you won't believe how fast this thing took off. In just 4 years, it went from one experiment in a class at Smith to the first ever women's intercollegiate game. This wasn't a slow burn. This idea spread like wildfire across college campuses. But here is the crucial part. They didn't just copy and paste the men's game. No way. To work within the societal rules and expectations of the time, they built their own version from scratch. The court was split into 3 zones. You couldn't snatch the ball. You could only dribble 3 times. They built their own fundamentals. So the foundation was set. But just like getting that heavy barbell off the floor, the absolute hardest part was just getting started. This was going to be a long, hard struggle. Yeah, think about that moment, right? That initial grinding pull from the floor where gravity is just fighting you with everything it's got. That feeling of strain, well, that was the reality for women's basketball for the next 80 years. And listen, the weight they were trying to lift wasn't made of iron. It was the crushing weight of culture. They were told that women were too frail to play sports. They were forced to play in these long, heavy skirts and corsets. They were publicly mocked for wearing practical clothes like bloomers. For decades, a lot of colleges just flat out banned them from competing against other schools. But here's the thing, they kept pulling. They stuck to their fundamentals, building the sport piece by painful piece, year after year. And you know what? Eventually, that weight started to move. Let's look at how they finally broke through and turned this into a global phenomenon. This was it. This was the moment the weight started to feel just a little bit lighter. Title IX, passed in 1972. Now, it wasn't even a sports law, but its effect was absolutely massive. It basically forced schools to give equal opportunities, and that meant, for the first time, real funding, real facilities, and real support for women's sports. And after that, man, the ascent was just explosive. Just 4 years after Title IX, Boom, it's an Olympic sport. Then, the NCAA gives it their official stamp of approval, which adds this whole new layer of legitimacy. And then, the final piece of the puzzle, 1996, the WNBA is founded, creating a real, stable pro league for the best players on the planet. And that brings us right here, to today. That weight isn't a struggle anymore, it's held triumphantly overhead. All that grinding, all that fundamental work, it all led to this moment of peak strength and incredible success. And the results, well, they speak for themselves. This isn't just a feel-good story. This is a story of absolute, undeniable dominance. Since 1996, the U.S. women's Olympic basketball team has won the gold medal in every single Olympics. Gold after gold after gold. That is the power of building something right from the ground up. So let's bring it all home. What's the big, powerful lesson we can take away from all this?
The connection is just crystal clear, isn't it? A weightlifter doesn't get strong by inventing some fancy new technique. They get strong by mastering the basics of form and power. And in the exact same way, women's basketball didn't succeed by being a carbon copy of the men's game. It succeeded by building its own strong foundation, fighting through decades of resistance, and constantly, relentlessly raising its own standards.
It really all comes back to this simple formula from Daniel John's book. It's not flashy, it's not glamorous, it's just what works. For decades, the pioneers of women's basketball were doing the exact same thing. Play correctly, organize correctly, fight for recognition, repeat. So that's the takeaway. We've seen this philosophy build incredible physical strength, and we've seen it build an entire global sport. The final question, though, is for you. What is it that you're trying to build? A new skill, a project, a big life goal? Maybe it's time to ask yourself, could you build it stronger, better, and make it last if you started over from the ground up?